This is Voices of My Brothers, Sisters, and People. Now, I know you've heard me be one of the leading voices in this show for some time now, but the premise of the show is to highlight the voices of other people. So, during certain periods, I'm going to promote other voices to lead the energy of the show. Today is one of those episodes. Enjoy.
This is another edition of what I like to call the Friends and Family Podcast. I'm your host, Jay Boyd. Today we have David Ospina on. How you doing, David?
I'm really good. How are you doing?
Doing great, man. So today we got it lined up. We're going to talk about cosplay and how you got into it and everything. Just go ahead and tell the listeners how you got introduced to cosplay and how you started.
Well, honestly, it all started 8 years ago. I'm a huge, let's say, video game fan, right? I'm a gamer. I love playing video games. And I remember that when I went to these conventions, I saw a lot of people wearing costumes, right? Cosplays and cosplaying as their favorite characters. So I don't know, there was something about it that made my inner child be anxious and happy about it. So I started doing some of my favorite characters, and for me the experience is great. It's something out of this world. I enjoy taking pictures with the people. Like doing requests, like, hey, could you say this as this character? And I could just start acting and having fun with the people. That's the best thing of the whole thing.
That makes perfect sense, honestly, that you got into it from gaming. So how long have you been going to these conventions?
I think at least for 7 years, in a row, except this year, of course, for the situation we're having with coronavirus. But usually I go twice a year, so that gives me enough time for me to prepare one or two cosplays a year. It's a process that requires a lot of time, and of course, since I'm an English teacher and I'm in acting school here, um, I have so little time for me to start working on that.
So how many costumes do you have currently, and what are some of your favorite characters to dress up as? I'm sure there's a million characters that you see at these conventions.
Yeah, more than a million, I would say. I think I've got around 10. I've done Scorpion from Mortal Kombat.
Okay.
I've done uh, who else? I've done Shen, which is a character from League of Legends,
Okay.
which is a really popular game. I've done Immortan Joe from Mad Max, Fury Road. I've done another character called Nikto from Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
Okay.
Yeah, I've done a lot of different things. Like my most popular one has been the comedian from Watchmen. Uh, that one was hard for me because usually I always wear a mask on my cosplays. It makes me feel comfortable.
Yeah.
It helps a lot. But for that character, um, I had to I have a beard, right? So I had to shave my beard, leave
Oh
a
wow.
mustache. I had to practice my smile, the way I look people. Uh, but with that cosplay, I won a contest. I had a huge I made it to the front lines of the local newspaper.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was a crazy thing, and I didn't want to participate because I was so shy. I was nervous, but they told me come on, man, that's a great cosplay, and I
Yeah.
did it. So I went to TV. I've been on TV 5 times now, all thanks to cosplay, and performing arts has helped me a lot on this way.
So do they have, I'm sure there are tons of competitions between, have you ever competed in any of the competitions? And if so, have you ever won anything from these competitions?
Well, it was funny. The competition that I won, that was last year. Using the comedian, they gave me some souvenirs and some products. There was no huge money prize on it.
Okay.
but it was, well, everything was for free. Like the entrance was free, everything was free. So like the whole, I would say, publicity that uh, that event gave me was worth a lot. But usually, like, yes, we have national contests, and they usually offer money and tickets for you to participate in other countries against other people and having a chance to get, like, to earn more money or stuff like that.
Okay. So, how expensive of a hobby are these cosplay costumes? Because I'm sure the ones that I've seen are very intricate. I'm sure they can't be cheap.
Well, it depends. Like, of course, if you pay someone else to make your own costumes, your own cosplays, which is something that happens a lot, it could be quite expensive. But most people, they work on their own stuff.
Okay.
So usually you've got like YouTube, like for you to learn how to do stuff. The materials are not that complicated to find. The only thing, like for example, in my case, in my personal opinion, the hardest thing for me is working on fabrics. I don't know how to like to do it properly, so I usually pay someone else to do like pants or jackets or scarves, whatever the character needs for that cosplay. So in that case, it could be a little bit expensive. But usually, if you do everything by yourself, it's really cheap. You're gonna spend a lot of time doing the costume though, but I think it's something affordable for everyone. Like if every someone is interested in doing this,
Yeah.
like they could just start doing with small things, maybe making a mask or a small piece of armor or whatnot. We usually use a material. I don't know how is it called. Like here we call it like Eva foam,
Okay.
which is like foamy but really thick foamy, right? Like uh, maybe inch and a half, 2 inches,
Oh
and
wow.
you use that with a heat gun, and you could just shape it in whatever shape you need. So that's how you make armor or maybe guns or whatever you need, even masks.
So where do you find these materials from? Are you just like buying this stuff online? Are there like general websites that you can get like generic cosplay stuff from that you can turn into whatever costume you would like? Where do you find the materials?
That's a good question. Usually, we're able to find some pieces, as you said, like general or like generic pieces, maybe a gun that you could just paint and use for your cosplay. You do that online, but usually I have to go downtown and start looking like at the tailor shops or like industrial places where they sell like maybe it could be floor tiles or stuff like that for you to look for the materials. So it is like a, I don't know, like let's call it a hunt, right? Because you don't know where to find it, and you have to start asking questions and finding where you can get those materials. I know that in on the States it's easier because you can order everything online,
Yeah.
so it's 10 times easier. But here, you have to look for the things.
I know you spoke earlier about how you originally got introduced to the concept and it was just through gaming and going through the conventions. Do you find that that's how most people figure or find themselves in get into cosplaying?
Well, that's one of them. There's a huge, like a huge fan base that gets into cosplay, all thanks to maybe comic books, anime shows, or maybe really famous films, like let's say The Lord of the Rings or Harry
Yeah.
Potter. Those kind of things like motivate people to start doing cosplay, and that's the fun thing, like just pretending and playing that you're that character for that moment. It's crazy because you know that when you say like that, people will say, well, there's nothing fun about that. But when you do it and you see the reactions of people, that's what's worth it.
In the cosplay community, is it a lot? Do you find that it's maybe evenly split between like people who dress up as like their favorite characters from games, and people who dress up as their favorite characters from maybe TV shows, like an anime show of some sort, or just a famous movie, maybe a Marvel movie or something.
hmm Well, it's really common. It's quite common to see like superhero cosplays. That's
Yeah,
one of the most common things. But usually everything's like even, you know. I think that we have the same amount of characters coming from TV, from the movies, or from video games, or mangas, or comic books. So you can see everything. And fun fact is, even if you do a, I would say, I'm not like an unpopular character, maybe something not like outside of the mainstream media, some people will recognize you. And I mean, you're going to have fun with that.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if let's say somebody's listening to this, they want to get into cosplay, they're a big gamer, they've thought about it, but they haven't, found a way into that community yet. What would be some information that you would have for them? What would be some advice that you give to somebody who was trying to get into this?
All right. Well, first of all, if you get frustrated easily by things not working your way, like cosplay is not the thing for you. But of course, if you can handle this, you'll see that you're gonna make every single mistake like mistake count. Like I don't know how to explain myself. Like for example, once I made an armor for Shen from League of Legends, right?
Yep.
And it had a small mistake which irked me. It was something like I didn't like, but a lot of people were like watching that and they liked it. So it was like a small signature, like my own version of Shen. You know, the
Oh,
same
okay.
thing happened with this character called Nikto, because he has like he's a soldier, right? He wears like a face mask, something similar to a hockey mask, and he has a bunch of like uh, like the bulletproof vest or whatever. And I did like a free version of the character, and people like that because it's not the same version of the game, but it looks as if the character would dress in that way. So just play with that, you know, make the character like something you own, and with that you're gonna have a lot of fun. I mean, cosplay is good for all ages, for all kinds of people, like guys, girls, it doesn't matter. Usually here we see more girls doing cosplay than guys.
Wow.
Usually I could say like maybe uh, from 10 people, 7 are girls and 3 are
Wow.
guys. Yeah,
That's
it's a
interesting. I
huge.
would not have guessed that.
Yeah, it's crazy,
So,
right?
yeah, it is. So with cosplaying, you brought up a good point talking about the different signatures that you've been able to create, even if it was a mistake in the beginning. Do you find that people enjoy people's cosplays when they have a signature, or when they stick strictly to whatever the character is and whatever they would wear in the movie or the video game or whatever it may be?
It depends. Like that's a really valid point. There's a lot of people who love the like the source material, right?
Yeah.
So they're really like just as in the movie or video games or whatever. Um, they're gonna love that. And for some other people, they value like the creativity. So I would say that people like more that the character looks like the character itself, but it's not bad if someone takes some liberties, you know?
Okay. That's fair. That's good. So, what's the demographic like of the people that you see cosplaying? Is it an older crowd, maybe like 30s to 40s, or is it a younger crowd, maybe like teens to early to mid 20s? What do the people generally look like that are doing this?
Uh, well, it's fun to think about that. I remember that maybe 8 years ago, like usually everyone was between their 70s and their, I mean, 17s and their 20 something, right?
Yeah.
Now you see a lot of people between their 30s. Like I would say on their 30s doing cosplay, some really good cosplays. That means that the community has started to grow in something really professional, and which is nice. Um, you don't see old people doing this.
Yeah,
Like I've seen some in my whole life, like maybe in this, let's say in the last 5 years, maybe I've seen like 4 or 5 people doing a cosplay, like old people, because for them it's harder to like wear a costume and play as the character, right?
I'm sure.
Uh, but it's something that people like a lot. Like I have a cosplay of a character called well, he's known as Snake. He's from Metal Gear Solid, and on that game, like you see like all the stages of his life, right? Since he was young until like he's really old. And my father, he's 70 years old, and I gave him one of my cosplays for him to wear, and I cannot tell you how people like were crazy about him. He was only like being him, like
Wow.
himself, you know. And they took pictures. Like I uploaded, like I've got my Facebook page, not like a fan website, but I've got my own personal Facebook page, and I uploaded one of his pictures, and it was crazy because usually if I upload a picture, I get like, let's say, like 50 likes, maybe
Yeah.
80 likes. I uploaded his picture like with the cosplay and with a motorcycle because the character has a motorcycle, and it was crazy, like 200 and something likes, 300 likes, people
Wow.
talking about it. Yeah, I had a huge a huge welcome, so that was great.
What is maybe your favorite character to dress up as? To what is your favorite character? And
Oof.
maybe not just so much the costume itself, but everything that goes with it. Maybe the voice, maybe their mannerisms are big to you. Maybe you just have more fun acting as them than you actually do wearing the costume. So who's your favorite?
Ooh, that's a good question. I've got a cosplay of a character called Sweet Tooth from Twisted Metal.
Okay.
He's a clown. He's a big ass clown with a mask, with like fire on his hair, and he has like a huge, let's call it a machete, right?
Okay.
Like maybe really big and heavy. And I used that cosplay for Halloween. I went outside to shopping malls, walking down the avenue in the city, like, and people were terrified of
Wow.
watching me. I was just like walking like a little bit crooked and staring at people. And
Uh-huh.
the mask is a little bit intimidating because it's like similar to, let's say, like a fiberglass mask of a clown, right? But it has only one eye. I could only use one eye to watch what was going on, right? So I was half blind, but people loved the costume. I heard the opinions of people. I remember that there was a girl like across the road staring at me, and she was sweating. That was the whole experience. And I was just standing there staring at her eyes without moving. I just stayed there, and she was like, fuck, like she was nervous as hell. But it was a fun night. I think that was one of the best characters I've played and I had fun with. Or the other one would be the comedian, because you get to act like an asshole, like with that, I don't know, with that smug face and that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. That's fun as well.
So, do you find that being a part of the performing arts community, it has helped you to open up and perform these characters to a degree?
Of course, it has helped. It is not necessary because I know a lot of people who, well, never studied this. Like I've known architects, doctors, I've known like a lot of people that practice cosplay in like in their own way, right? But I think that performing arts has helped me a lot because it makes me stay in character. It makes me pay attention like closer to detail, right?
Yeah.
And you know that the devil is in the details, right?
Yep.
So when people see that, like how you walk, how you move, how you breathe, how you talk, the way that you, I don't know, enunciate words, that's something, that's a huge plus that people love.
What do you, I know I asked you a similar question earlier, asking
Mhm.
you, what advice you would give to somebody who's interested in this, but just speak on how much fun you have doing this and what the community means to you.
Okay. Um, it's one of the best things I've ever like experienced because you set yourself free, you know? You're not afraid of people judging you. Well, in my case, it is like that. You enjoy everything, every single smile, every single, I don't know, picture. You get to bond and know a lot of amazing people because that community is like a family. Of course, there's
Wow.
some people who are really like competitive, right? They're looking to like to always get like the best costumes made or best armors or whatever. But I've met some amazing people there, like which you can talk about anything, not only cosplay, but you could just talk about the weather, about video games, about I don't know, cars, whatever you want.
Yeah.
So it's an amazing place for you to meet great people and people who have similar tastes in stuff like you. So that's the best thing, like the best thing about it, like feeling part of a family, like that people care about you. It's something amazing. I don't know. It's a wholesome experience, I would say.
Wow, man, that's crazy. Well, man, I really appreciate you hopping on with me today and discussing cosplay, man. I learned a lot. Thank you so much.
Oh, I like that. I like that. If you've got any more questions, I'll be more than happy to to assist you with that.